Level 80, Shadow Walk with me. Glynord is overjoyed to welcome the conquering hero's return. Well, if it isn't the great hunter herself. As if you don't know, all four of the cardinal virtues laid low, all with your help. You're the talk of the stairs, Zilly. When the night returned to Lakeland, we knew in our hearts that change was on the horizon, but never did I dare hope that you might help rid us of those terrible fiends. You've surpassed my wildest expectations. Not mine, Glynord. When I first laid eyes on her, I had an inkling that she was the hero we'd been waiting to come along. How easy to claim after the fact. If you'd indulge me, though, I would love to hear you tell how it all played out. The hunting of the virtues, that is. My word, there's so much more to it than I realized, and there I thought you'd only had to track down the bloody things. God, though, the things you learn about the Warriors of Light, so many secrets and details lost over time. And for all their hard work and sacrifice, they somehow brought about the flood. Can't say I understand it all, but it's a bloody tragedy, it is. We should gather the others and toast their memories. Heroes of Eld, brave and true, to be remembered forevermore. Now, I'll thank you not to let your bleeding heart drive you to offer up a fortnight's stock of spirits. Attend to your other customers and let me speak with the hero of here and now. Whatever would I do without your good sense and wisdom? Very well, I'll leave you to entertain her, but don't think we won't be having that drink someday. Billy, I must thank you for sharing with us such incredible tales. 'Tis only right that I repay you in kind. With the ending, that is. With the story of the true villain who towers above the virtues, the devil more deserving of death than any that yet lingers in this world. Your curiosity has been piqued, and meet with me atop the balcony overlooking the crystalline mean. I will be waiting there until you do. Is there a fifth virtue? I don't know. I didn't look into this quest at all. Just knew we needed to do it. We're up here. You came, as I knew you would. Never met a mystery you could leave well enough alone, or a demon that you could let live, am I right? This demon is undeniably deserving of death. Make no mistake, to cut them down would be just improper, an act of goodly person, and that is just what you are. I can see that. No need to grow impatient or be offended, my friend, but before you pass judgment on this villain, you need first understand their part in everything, who they were to the fallen warriors of light, for instance. Of course, right about now, you must be wondering how I know, what a tavern wench of all people has got to do with any of this. Let me tell you then, I am the one who brought together the virtue hunters. I am the one who marked you as a potential ally to them and bade you join them in their quest. I alone knew what had to be done and what sort of sinner would be needed to see this tale of tragedy and betrayal brought to an end. But come, we have many malms ahead of us still. To Kalusia and the Codger's Crook, I will go on ahead and wait for you there. If I have to fight something, I might switch to a DPS. I have a feeling it's probably just going to be like recap and stuff. You are accustomed to life on the road, I see, as am I. And changed in everything. Do you recognize this place? I thought you might. Here is where it began, where Ardbert first met Lamet. Still young and lacking in experience, but possessed of so much potential. Heroes in the making, even then the keen-eyed could see. They would only fulfill that promise much later, though, after joining with their other dear companions, Brandon and Renda Ray. One other, an elven woman, not half bad with a sword. Ah, but perhaps you are already asking the question, who? There were 5 warriors of light in all, but she would make 6. Indeed, after adding in Gilbert, there does seem to be one too many, but believe me when I say there was indeed a 6th adventurer lost to history. Her name was Silva. Yeah, she was in some of the quests. Is that who this is? Though I doubt I need convince you of this truth, when you walked in the Virtue's memories, you saw her time and time again, did you not? You saw the true villain, the traitor responsible for all their woes. Let us continue the story elsewhere, to Amarong in the Fields of Amber. You saw the true villain's face in their memories, and I told you her name in Kalusia, but what were her crimes, you ask? Hearken to my tale and you will learn. Silva had joined the others before they first met Njolbert, and after their party of 5 came to this place, they took on a commission to slay a powerful beast that had taken up residence in the mines. Said beast was believed to be the instigator of ever more terrible tremors, and so time was of the essence, but during their hurried search, they crossed paths with their future companion, then a competitor aiming to usurp their prize. After another tremor triggered by the beast trapped them all underground, they had no choice but to work together to lay it low, but to their dismay, even after its death, the earth continued to shudder violently. As the adventurers looked to each other in confusion, Gilbert strode towards the beast's body and grabbed hold of a curious stone, a stone brimming with untold ether that he had sought out, that he might harness its potential to rescue a loved one lost to the rift. But so powerful was the stone that it warped the flow of the life stream. Its very existence was a threat, and so, when faced with the choice between one life and countless others, Gilbert wept and shattered the stone. He had held his comrade's salvation in his hand and cast it aside for the greater good. For his sacrifice, he was judged a hero, and in that instant, a warrior of light was born. In life, Gilbert was a pragmatic figure whose wisdom and sagacity were admired by all. Little wonder that in death he would retain his virtue. But as Gilbert mourned the friend he had forever lost, the betrayer Silva looked on in silent contentment, for they had taken the first step on their path towards becoming heroes, brave and true. His sacrifice had sparked the transformation. 'Twas fuel for the ritual to come. What ritual, you may wonder? Fear not, all will become clear in time. Come with me to Raktika, to the city of swamps. We must retrace the steps as they were taken to understand the depth of her treachery. To the swamps. Okay, we're in the Raktika Breakwood. Okay. Over. Rinderay. Yeah, like we're just gonna go through all of them. Bigger. Recap. This place too is familiar to you, no? From days recent and long since past. After the events in Amarang, Ardbert and his comrades grew in fame, spurring others to entreat their aid. The adventurers sought out greater and greater challenges, and in pursuit of another, they came to Raktika. While here, the hunter Renderay learned that the notorious mark Balam Kits was near, and so, under cover of darkness, she slipped away from the others to slay the beast by herself. Like Neilbert before, of course, you already know what her motive was. Balam Kits had robbed her of her fellow hunters. Only vengeance would redress the balance. Moreover, she would not dare risk the lives of her new comrade, so terrified was she of the mere possibility that she might have to relive that terrible day. So she faced Balam Kits alone and would have surely died for it had Ardbert and the others not arrived in time to help. Like Neilbert before, of course, you already know what happened next. For her love, her conviction, and her resolve was she chosen by Heidelin. From that day forward, Renderay swore never again to betray her comrades' trust, to share with them the triumphs and tragedies, to relinquish the freedom she had once held in the highest. The bravest, most courageous hunter that ever was. That moment would define what she became in life and in death. Sacrifice would hasten the transformation. 'Twas fuel for the ritual to come. Betrayer Silva looked on, yet more satisfied. They were oblivious to her machinations, unaware that they were dancing to her tune. Their journeys continued, and so must ours, to Ilmeg and Liga. Previously on Shadowbringers. Tim Juice. Beautiful now as it was then. You saw it too, would you not agree? The death of Balam Kits, the legend of Ardbert and his comrades, had grown larger than ever. Thus emboldened, they came to the kingdom of Obert. Obert had long been troubled by what some had dubbed a magical plague. Innocents found transformed into misshapen fiends that the kingdom's knights had no choice but to put down ere the contagion spread. Brandon had been one such knight. In his youth, he had served the Princess Saldia faithfully, only to be cast out for a single mistake. Thus did he take to the road where he met Ardbert and the others. Having grown stronger and wiser and more respected, Brandon felt it was time to return and redeem himself, and with the aid of his comrades, he did just that. Tadric the court mage was unmasked as the mastermind of Vobert's misery, and by disgraced knight's blade, he was brought to justice. But with his dying breath, Tadric cursed the Princess Saldia, sentencing her to a fate worse than death. At her behest did he raise up his blade, and for the sake of the kingdom, strike down his liege lady. That single stroke he forever changed, though nearly not in the way that was necessary. He stood at the precipice and almost forsook his compassion for unflinching judgment, mercifully turned aside at the last. Thus did he find and embrace true justice, that which weighs law and heart together and strives for the greater good. 'Tis a long, difficult road from which many stray, settling for simpler moralities, but I would expect no less of the man who became Dicosine. Sacrifice would strengthen the transformation to as fuel for the ritual to come. Their companions grew ever more powerful, so too did the betrayer Silva. Bit by bit, they brought her closer to her goal. But it was not yet finished. To Kalusia they returned, and so must we. Tomra and the next chapter of our tale await. Are we about done with this tale? It did a good stuff. I did all this already. Slowly but surely, the adventurers were fulfilling their potential. Where their deeds in Vobert spread like wildfire, and their legend grew ever larger, but for all their success, the fledgling heroes would be forced to endure more hardship and welcome more sacrifice. What's her traitorous thing? She never gained a stone and became a warrior of light. They pressed deeper into the depths of Raktika towards ancient Ronka. 'Twas there that the dwarf Lamet came to a crossroads, for in claiming the magic she desperately desired, she would be forced to renounce something equally precious. Dwarves are a reclusive lot, wont to withdraw from the outside world that their many traditions might be preserved in isolation. When the stone blight began to spread, they chose to lock away the afflicted and refused to seek outside help. But Lamet would not abide this. She vowed to save her ailing kin, her sister among them, even if it meant violating dwarven law. With her newfound power, she returned and cured the sick, and for this she was banished by the Council of Elders. This came as no surprise, for she had made her peace with it long before, when she stood in that ancient ruin and called upon forgotten guardians to grant her forbidden knowledge. She knew then what the price would be. She had weighed her traditions and identity against the lives of those she loved and made her choice. It would pain her terribly and in ways only a dwarf could understand, and Heidelin it would seem. Through hardship and sacrifice was a new warrior of light forged, a healer that knew more than any the value of life and would do anything to see it preserved, even in death. Sacrifice would nearly complete the transformation. 'Twas fuel for the ritual to come, very soon, then very soon. Ardbert and his comrades had stumbled upon evidence of the larger design, threads linking together the disparate troubles of the realm. Names spoken only in whispers, the Shadow Keeper, a singular force sowing chaos and discord throughout Norvrant to an unknown end. The warriors of light truly wished to save their world, then they would need to confront this villain amongst villains. At the end of their exhaustive search, at the end of their struggle, who do you think they found waiting to welcome them with open arms? The answer to that awaits us in Lakeland, our final destination. The villain yet walks among us, zilly unknown and unpunished. Go on ahead and wait for me at Laxon Loft. There are preparations to which I must first attend. the loft. I don't know if it's 1 or 2 quests. It might be 2. Might be a few more, actually. Yeah, it looks like it's a few of them. Nice. What a surprise. Damn you, Silva. We were comrades in arms, friends. That we were, that we were. Everything I said, everything I felt, it was all true. You mean the world to me. You're the bloody Shadow Keeper? What in the hells was this for? For you, for every one of you, to forge you into heroes worthy of her blessing, that she might choose you as her champions. The ruthless mage consumed by the pursuit of power to save his friend no matter the cost, by his sacrifice a warrior born. Mournful hunter scarred by tragedy, resolved never again to trust in others, by her sacrifice a warrior born. Disgraced knight who yearned to steal his heart in justice's name, by his sacrifice a warrior born. Troubled healer torn between tradition and love, by her sacrifice a warrior born. And their leader, an adventurer with a heart overflowing with love for his dearest comrades, who must now bring his axe to bear against his own. By his sacrifice a warrior born. I am the villain you seek, the keeper of shadows from a world shrouded in dark. By our struggle will this world be shattered and its soul saved. Silva! Saw it all, did you? I thought you might. Mother's gift has a knack for showing us exactly what we need to see, if not what we want to or when. They knew me as Silva, but my real name, it doesn't matter. Like you, I am not of this world. I crossed the rift and came to the first. My home, the 13th, fell to the dark in a calamity that mirrored the one which nearly claimed this world. I was one of several heroes who failed to save it. The boy Uno Kahai, I have glimpsed him in your memories. He was a friend. Like him, I heeded the words of the Asians, and that I might redress the balance, I chose to come here and hasten a rejoining of worlds. Shard subsumed by dark demands, a mirror of blinding light. Primordial forces will strive to achieve equilibrium, but there was a solution, a single solution, I believed. For a flood of light to consume the shard in its entirety, it would be of no use. The Asians made it clear it must be brought to the brink, but no further. Task was difficult, but the plan simple. Souls predisposed to light, fledgling heroes in the making. I would bring together Ardbert and his comrades and groom them for a higher purpose. I would play the part of comrade and guide their chorus, all the while laboring in secret to pit stronger and stronger enemies against them, until finally, once they were warriors of light, brave and true, I would reveal myself as a warrior of darkness and extinguish their radiance forever. Thus would this world be primed for rejoining and the source for a calamity. Ascians who called themselves Mitron and Logriff were confident it would succeed, and indeed Ardbert and the others rose to the occasion, as I knew they would. It was not to be. I had misjudged Ardbert. His comrades before him had made their sacrifices in turn, and as their mirror I had grown stronger for it. Had he but embraced his role and struck me down, victory would have been mine. But Ardbert, dear Ardbert, would not forsake his heart. In the end, he chose mercy, he chose love, and I was undone. The rest you know. He sought out Mitron and Logriff and granted them what he refused me. They accomplished everything they set out to achieve, and then the flood came and washed it away. Wake of my betrayal, I would look on from the shadows and reflect on my many sins as they all fell to ruin, denied death then and now, perhaps ever after, as a fragment of my essence endures. But then one day years ago, my fallen comrades rose again as the cardinal virtues. Coincided with the arrival of the first scions, I later realized, a defense against the forces being marshaled to undo my failure. I can but assume that the Ascians planted the idea in Valtry's head. They were his creations after all, and with their graves in Yulmoran territory, it was doubtless a simple matter to have their bodies exhumed and prepared. Who am I to speak, you may think when I say this, but when I saw these abominations he had wrought in their image, I was filled with such despair, such anger. I cannot unwrite the past. My soul is stained with blackest sin, and I will not pretend that it can ever be otherwise. But this I could not ignore. The Ascians were going to such lengths, and surely others would cross the rift in due time, and so I hatched a plan. I would assume the guise of Ciela and as her take up residence in the Crystarium, where I would take measures to bring together the most ambitious of adventurers, individuals driven by more than mere coin, virtue hunters. That way, when the enemy the Ascians feared more than any came to the first, the stage would be set. They would join in the hunter's quest and together unmake Valtry's simulacra and lay their souls to rest once more. And so you did. Zilly, the virtues are no more, but the one ultimately responsible for their creation, the devil who set them on their doomed path, lingers still. You know all there is to know of the heroes who saved this world. The truth I kept hidden in the shadows is yours, and there are no more secrets to share. So I ask you now to grant me that which Ardbert could not, death. You still have a duty to others. No, don't do this. Don't you spare me like he did. How can you stand there and say I deserve to live, knowing everything I did, the lives I destroyed, the chaos I wrought, the wardens pale in comparison? Surely there is no greater villain than the Shadowkeeper. Which is why you must live to atone for your deeds. Death is no comfort to the living. I should have expected a hero would say something like that. How does one even seek atonement? It is an undiscovered country with no charts or stars to guide. How will I even know when I find it? Perhaps I may yet find purpose in preserving my comrades' legacy and helping others to understand the sacrifices that made them true heroes. For now, I shall return to the Crystarium and continue to assist Glynard while spreading the forgotten tales of the Warriors of Light. You would have been good friends, you and Ardbert, in another life. Maybe you and I as well. Crystarium. Tell you, I am not at all accustomed to wearing armor any longer. Simply moving about in it is enough to tax my strength, and fighting, any one of Captain Lena's recruits could probably put me flat on my back. Fortunately, I needn't rely on my sword to spread the truth of my fallen comrades' deeds. Only words and the passage of time will see their legacy redeemed in the eyes of the people. Thank you for accompanying me on my journey of remembrance, Zilly. May your deeds ever be remembered and celebrated as all heroes deserve. Level 80, Shadow Walk with Me, complete. Tales to be told. Level 80, Safekeeping. Sayala appears surprised, though not displeased, to see you. It isn't Zilly loitering about the stairs, just like any old evening. Here I was worried you'd gone back to your world for good, and I was too late. Just that I've been thinking about the crystals belonging to the Warriors of Light. Here they ended up with you after you lot defeated the Virtues. I assume you have Ardberts as well. I mean, I turned one of them into a lamp, didn't I? Indeed, that does seem appropriate. His bond with Seto is deep and enduring. As for the others, I had hoped you might be persuaded to leave them in my care. It was only right that they, like Ardbert, should accompany you on your journey to set this world back on its proper course. Yet you now have a home you must return to, while the first is theirs. After all they did to keep it safe, they deserve to be here to see what its future holds. Oh, don't make that face. I know it's a big decision, but it needn't fall entirely to you. There are others here who care for the Warriors of Light as much as you do, aren't there? Giat? Okay, well that's right here. Ah. Now that's some damn fine ale. How many should I order for you? I know you ain't much of a drinker, so 6, 7? What? You want to help deciding the fate of Lamet's crystal and the others too? Does this place have any bigger tankards? Well, if you insist, Lurik owes me drinks, plural, so I'll make sure he joins us. Maybe find Granson while I'm at it. You go on and wait with Sarek and Tainer. Order around while I'm out, you hear? Good to see you, Zilly. What did you say that has Giat so worked up? Is it Giat or is it like Jot? Crystals, eh? That does sound like a conversation worth getting everyone together for. Did Lurik really promise to pay for Jot's drinks? That's a disaster in the making. Not just hers, rounds for the lot of us. It might be that the lad yet has a few things to learn about coin and the scarcity thereof. Still, I'll not turn down his generosity. Go and tell the barkeep we'll be needing food and ale for the table. Fine, but please try to exercise some restraint. I'll not carry you back to the room again. Here we are. How much of a head start did you get? Should I ask him to bring out the cask? I reckon we should hear Zilly out first. So you're telling me that the barmaid was one of Neilbert's companions, not to mention the Shadow Keeper, and from a different world? That's laying it on a bit thick. It certainly raises questions. Quite, such as how she retains her youthful visage. Not that. Had my suspicions about her. The other night I was at the counter quaffing my ale, having a grand time, and next I realize I'm outside without a guild of my name, and it ain't the first time. It's called getting drunk. It'd only be the power of the Shadow Keeper. And not that you drink enough to fell a small army. If Zilly says it's true, I'm inclined to believe it, which leaves us with the matter of entrusting the crystals to her. She's right that this was Brandon's home, the others too, and it's home to their most important memories. Not all of them good, maybe, but everyone they loved is laid to rest here. I agree, Nielbert belongs here. Ardbert's crystal is with Seto in this world. Lamet would want to be near. Brenda Ray as well, I think. She'd want to be with her friends in the place that she loved. Seems we all agree. A toast then to the Warriors of Light. To the Warriors of Light. Drink up, I'm paying, and as bounty hunters, I expect you all to take proper advantage of that. Hate to disappoint, but I'm not much for alcohol. This juice looks nice, though. Oh, that's not... Stupid. How did you manage this? Twice the mess and half the time as normal, patrons, I swear. I overheard your conversation, by the way. Do you agree with your friends? These crystals are yours, Story Keeper. They would know best. I'll be certain not to disappoint them. Thank you. I can feel them, their memories. Why? Why, damn it? You're all just like Ardbert. I betrayed you, I manipulated you, and still. You thought of me as a comrade, a friend, until the very end. I don't feel bad. Ardbert tried to kill me, and we became pals. We finally managed to clean up after you lot for the most part. Perhaps next time we should set down a tarpaulin. Nevertheless, I'm grateful to you for entrusting these to me, and as long as I live, I will never stop sharing the true tale of the Warriors of Light of my friends. Level 80, safekeeping complete. Level 80, the hero's journey. Sayela is not finished with you yet. Seeing the lot of you together like that, it reminds me of the old days. Ardbert and the rest, drinking and bickering and laughing, drove each other half mad at times, but there was never any question of who'd be there when times get tough. Can't help but wonder, can I, if I'd had companions like that back home, could it have been saved? I'm not the only one who tried, though each of us stood alone. There was Uno Kohai. We've met, he was working with Elidibus at the time. That nigh unpronounceable name sounds familiar. Yeah, he's the guy from the Containment Bay. I think this quest, you have to have all the Containment Bay ones done, the normal, and you need Ravana and Bismarck Extreme completed. Another would-be savior of the 13th, a young man. He was plucked from the jaws of death by Elidibus, and last I knew he had gone to the Source to serve as his herald. We spoke once after the destruction of our world. If the others could be saved, we thought we yet had parts to play. What he's up to now that Elidibus is gone, though, I have no idea. Has he found himself a new role, as I have, or does he feel as adrift as we were back then? If you encounter him in the source, ask that you help him find a way forward, just as you have helped all of us here. I think he's in, like, the office in Mordona. Yeah. Like, these are just the Role Master quest is what they're called. Something like that. The continuation of the role quests or jobs. While it's technically a side content thing, it's... But we had to wait till we were done with 5.4 to finish it. Enter the Solar, yes. I had... Well met, Zilly. What brings you here today? Briange did apprise me of your travels in the first, and of what became of Elidibus at long last. But I was not aware that you were working with Silva. I consider her a comrade of sorts, though our time together was short. Looking upon the twisted remains of the world you tried to save creates a bond that few can understand. That time we spoke of what we could hope to achieve with our newfound immortality and of our regrets. Though I then believed what had happened to be natural result of my age and inexperience, I now think this was merely the least painful explanation I could offer myself. Silva is right. We ought to have sought each other out before it was too late. I would not make the same mistake again. With the Warring Triad gone, I am indeed in need of new purpose, but to seek it alone is folly. I should like to speak with Silva, assuming such a thing is possible. As I mentioned, she understands how I feel more than any other. There may be a way. Of course, all I require is your soul. Speak of the spirit vessel, correct? The means by which the Scions return to the source? If I understand the principles at work correctly, then it was a near miracle that you succeeded in bringing them back without killing them. If Elidibus is to be believed, however, my current state makes me something of an exception in matters of life and death. In which case, there is naught to be lost from making the attempt. Please say you'll help. I need an expert in spirit vessels. I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. Pray forgive the delay. Thou didst seek my counsel. I mean, we should have just called Graha. Ah, the gifts granted young Inokai by Heidelin and the Asians may prove a boon in easing the transition. However, I know not to what extent nor what might befall thy spirit should it be lost betwixt worlds. Nevertheless, I know that this is my path forward. Please, Arianje. Very well, if thou believest that thou shalt find new purpose in the first, I will do all in my power to see thee safely there. We shall be but a few moments. Mayhap a worthy tome might keep thee occupied whilst I perform the necessary magics. Lucky for me, I've got a book on me. Decent spot. Find a decent spot to await his return. Here's a decent spot. Tis done. Pray guard his vessel well. Unokai, as I and the other Scions were on the first, a soul with form yet no true body. Thus 'twas a simple matter to transfer him to the vessel using the self-same process as before. To withdraw his essence once across the rift ought to prove similarly straightforward. However, Fear that such an existence cannot sustain itself indefinitely. Look to the Asians' example. Their persistent use of flesh and blood vessels surely hath cause. Be it danger akin to that which would have befallen us had we not returned to the source, I know not, but the time may come when the boy requireth a fully corporeal form. Did this come to pass, I trust that thou shalt come to his aid. For the moment, however, thou needst only convey the spirit vessel to Beck-Lug. Farewell, both of thee. Huh. Whispering Gallery. Back again, are you? I'm flattered that you've grown so fond of Norvrant, or I would be, but you have that expression you lot always wear when you're about to ask me for something. You did what? After all the perils your friends faced and the labors we undertook to return them to your world, you've brought another soul across the rift? Have you no common sense? Nope. It's fine. Just work your magic. Magic's whichever. There had better be a very compelling reason for all this, whelp. Removing spirit from vessel will be easy enough, I suppose. However, it requires a few moments without your breathing down my neck. Also, your friend is unlikely to materialize with clothes on, so I doubt they'll want an audience. You should wait here, perhaps take the opportunity for some self-reflection. Oh, very well, at least I tried. We'll find you at the Wandering Stairs directly, then. Wandering Stairs. You want me to speak with someone? Very well. You've done the same at my request often enough. How long are we meant to wait for this friend of yours? I do have work to do, you know. Ah, here you are. Pardon the delay. It took some time to acquire robes of an appropriate size. Is this them? Silva. Panokohai. Indeed it is. Trust me, I can hardly believe that I'm here myself. I should think so. When I sent Zilly to ask after you, it never occurred to me that you might be able to cross the rift without Asian aid. No mysterious mask? Lost your taste for subterfuge, I see. My choices and my reasons are my own now. If I am to have faith in them and myself, I cannot hide who I am. Speaking of which, Nokohai was kind enough to fill me in, unlike some, and I was interested to hear of an erstwhile hero of the 13th serving libations at the Wandering Stairs, but that this hero should be you surpasses the scope of even my considerable imaginings. Was that you at Ruinous Licht so long ago? Not so long to me, or you mayhap, though I had thought I might at last put those days behind me. But perhaps this is for the best. They're not all bad memories. They never are. I should very much like to hear your story, should you be willing to share it. Our world, like this one, had its share of would-be heroes, myself and Unokai among them. Unlike your warriors of light, however, each was unaware of or unconcerned with our fellows. But to fight alone is to fall alone, and the insidious ether of the aura sight used to seal primals corrupted once noble souls and turned them one by one to darkness. Even those who resisted this fate could not escape its consequences. No surprise, perhaps, as we continued to struggle in solitude, we were spared by Asian machinations, but only as to our world met its death. But what if that death could be undone? I was told that much of the first was consumed by light as our home was by darkness, yet balance and life are being restored to even that skyward land they call the empty. Such a thing is possible, then why not the reverse? Could we not bring light back to the 13th? Even the Asians considered the 13th lost, thus it was excluded from the rejoining. What say you? You have a way of making miracles happen. Anything is possible. The world of darkness was not in a state I'd consider salvageable. Doesn't sound like an empty platitude coming from you. It was the same with Arbord. Pardon the interruption, but might I suggest a closer examination of conditions on the 13th before we form any conclusions? How would we go about that safely? We could use the crystal tower to open a void gate, couldn't we, please? According to the records, there was a group who worked out how to open small void gates through which to summon minor fell beasts and the like. Magics of that nature should work, though I am unsure if any with knowledge of the original technique yet live. That sounds familiar. One right over there. How fortunate. Let us inquire with this Tainer immediately. Yes, you do that. In the meantime, I will ready a means for peering into the depths of the void without endangering ourselves. Use these to contact me when you're prepared to open the gate. We shall at the very first opportunity, I promise. Tainor. It's always a pleasure, Zilly. Aye, but who's your friend? I don't believe we've met. We have not, as I'm not from this world. The situation is rather complicated, but I hope you might be willing to assist me. It is true that we had the means to open such portals. We call them hollows, and it was through one of these that I was drawn into the rift. So it is possible? Not with my power alone. I understand the greatness of your need, and were Neilbert still at my side, I should be glad to make the attempt, but the technique required the combined force of our energies in resonance. One person's magics are insufficient. Perhaps I could assist. From what I can sense, our ethereal reserves are roughly equivalent, and our physical similarities suggest that our energies are not incompatible. I fear you underestimate the difficulty of the task. Gilbert and I were born for this, and even so, it took us years before our efforts were perfectly in step. I realize that it's a lot to ask considering that we've just met, but could we not at least attempt it? Yours is the only such magic I've ever heard of, if we might actually be able to save my home. May I interject? You recall that the crystals in my possession preserve the memories of the former warriors of light, including Yulbert's in ethereal form. Unokai has a particular talent for interpreting the minds and motives of ethereal beings, the primals. If I could apply the same principles to interpret Yulbert's crystal, an experiment worth trying at the least, I'll fetch it. Speak to me, Nielbert. Do his memories of training with Taina remain? I do, and such strong sentiment with them. Tainer, you should know that Nielbert desired nothing so much as to rescue you, his dearest friend. He held so fiercely to his memories of the technique you mastered together because he hoped they might be your salvation. Oh, Nielbert, I won't let them go to waste. I will do what I can to help see 13th restored. Thank you. I won't pretend I understand half of what's going on here. Just keep them from running headlong into anything that's too dangerous, will you? Nothing to worry about so long as you're around, I'm sure. Wicked White, I nearly forgot I have a half dozen orders to fill. You know where to find me when you've made progress with the gate. People are getting thirsty. The hero's journey complete. Level 80, one step closer. Unokai would hone his newfound skill. If you have no objection, Tainer, I would like to practice creating hollows as soon as possible. Of course, but not within the Crystarium. If we succeed in opening even the smallest window into that realm, it is likely that fell creatures will emerge. Follow me. The hell is the Exarch gate? Exarch gate. Assuming no one ventures near, this location should be suitable. Unokai, when I give the word, begin channeling your ether. Nielbert's memories will have told you as much, but it is imperative that you maintain focus on ethereal resonance throughout this process. With that in mind, I ask that you take care of any creatures that emerge from the hollow. They should not be of a strength to challenge you, and it will allow us to adjust our attunement without risk. And let us begin. Come on, flow where I tell you to. Let me attempt to match your focus. It opened. It's small, but enough to let something through. Be ready. Oh no. Monster. That was far too much effort for such a small gate. On the contrary, given this was your first attempt, it's incredible that we succeeded at all. Now try synchronizing your breath with mine. Focus on the rhythm of the ethereal flow. All right, I'm ready. Aha, larger hollow. Of course, a void scent may be proportionally stronger. Sergeant Dalvag. Void Wanderer. Oh. Where your breath ends, mine begins. Where your ether flows, mine flows. Together. Unbelievable. Full attunement so soon. Be ready, Zilly. Attunement. Scavenger. Die, scavenger. I think I've grasped the principle now. I only need remember the feeling for next time. I must feel as if I do remember it. Your ether is familiar somehow, but that's impossible, of course. Or are they like the same shard? Like split? Because there's like a different one of you on like each planet. Whatever. Level 80, one step closer, complete. Level 80, a bounty of hunters. Unokohai's success with Tainer has only made him more eager to proceed. Now that Tainer and I are capable of performing the necessary magics, I should like to make an attempt at investigating conditions on the 13th. Might I trouble you to contact Becklug? Lily, are you there? I hope you've not lost focus on the void problem. I have an exciting breakthrough to share. A work of Porksy-related genius, if I do say so myself. Look, excellent timing. We've made considerable progress as well and are ready to open a portal when you are. Well then, what do you say you may meet me at Laxon Loft forthwith? It's far enough from any major aetherites as to avoid the sort of ethereal interference that would be a hindrance to our observation of the void. Very well, we will see you at this Laxon Loft anon, or as soon as I can locate it. I'll lead the way. I too am eager to be one step nearer to our goal. You don't mind if I think of it as our goal, do you? I would be honored, thank you. Ainor. Where is Laxon Law? Up here. Okay. I don't remember the names of everything. Maybe all the way at the top. Nope, it's further down. Inside? Is there an inside? Nope, behind the spiral. There we go. It appears Becklug has yet to arrive. Patience, Unokohai. I hope you weren't waiting too long. What, you didn't think I'd want to see this for myself? The 13th was my home too, if you recall. Quite, though as I explained, we won't be the ones doing the seeing, strictly speaking. This familiar will gather all the information we need, assuming you two can create a hollow for it to pass through. That will do nicely. Now fly, my porksy, fly. Well, it's made it in. Something is coming out. My, that is an ugly one, isn't it? Oh, it has a name. Fallen? It wasn't that much harder to defeat. I mean, I had to move out of the way of an AoE, but that wasn't difficult. Thank you for clearing that up. The porksy ought to be back any moment now, though I can't sense it. Odd. Perhaps it's lost. If Zilly created an etheric beacon as she did for me, it might find its way back more easily. That may work. Give it a go. Keep at it. Aha, a distinctly porksy-like presence. I see the snout. There we are. Now close that hollow before anything follows. What did we learn? Believe it has performed its task thoroughly, as instructed. Good porksy. With luck, its observations may indeed lead us to a means of driving the darkness from the 13th. However, I will need to review its findings in detail before I can tell you more, and it could take years to deduce a suitable solution. I admit that I am impatient to find a way forward, but I have endured millennia with half as much hope as I have now. If I must wait, then that is what I shall do. Like Zilly and your warriors of light, I will persevere until my world is safe once more. That is what a hero does. Oh, sweet. I think you'll make a good one. You as well. That's the end of the excitement for the time being. We should head back to the Wandering Stairs, clear out that pall of anxiety Sarah is spreading all over the place. The stairs. Ah, you've returned hale and whole. Not that I had any doubt you would, of course. How did your search of the Hollow go? We may have the information we need to save the 13th. Maybe some time, years maybe, until we can be certain, but I will be here for as long as it takes. On that subject, I've been thinking. Would you be interested in joining us? As a bounty hunter, I mean. Zarek and I hunt down sin eaters and other threats. The first was saved, but it remains far from safe. You could help us protect the people here. I think I would quite like that, protecting people. If I can do that, then perhaps I will find the strength I need when the time comes. Strength, you say? Sounds like you could use a dwarf with a massive hammer. I may have shared the tale of the 13th with a few other noted hunters. I know what it feels like to fight for something you've already lost, to need to find a way to make it right. I know it's not easy to fight on your own, inconvenient as that little truth may be. Thus, a new team is born. This calls for a toast. I don't object so long as this lot carries their weight. I'm a bounty hunter, not a fuka herder. Thank you so much, all of you. I would be honored to fight at your side. Like a new company of heroes. I shall do my best to justify the faith you have shown in me and to save my home. Someday I hope we can visit it together. If that were the case, wouldn't it be part of the MSQ and not a side quest? Level 80, a bounty of hunters, complete. Friends indeed.